Good evening. Welcome once again to Moments in Time. My name is Odie Hawkins, and what I'm doing is reading columns from a newspaper called the African Times that I wrote in 1996, 1997, and part of 1998. I'm reading the columns just to compare some of what happened then with what is happening now. What are the correlations? Do we have parallel things going on? What's happening? What has changed? What's new? What's old? An interesting thing is that, well, you'll see as I read, several things have happened in the last hour or so. We were watching a television show, and one of my favorite people, a white guy named Tim Weiss, was speaking to a bunch of Eurocentrics about why it is that we had depictions of Jesus as a white guy, an Italian mostly, with blonde hair and blue eyes, and I think the little brouhaha that happened as a result of somebody saying that Santa Claus could be a black guy. And it started off as a joke, because if Santa Claus was a black guy, according to the black person who talked about this, if Santa Claus was a black guy and he was caught coming down somebody's chimney, he'd probably be shot or captured and put in jail for life. I could just see it now, a black Santa in San Quentin. Anyway, I wandered a bit, but now I'm getting back on the track. Tonight is Monday, December the 11th, and this particular thing, this column is called My Point of View. My Point of View. The point of view, POV, is an immensely complicated and emotionally loaded concept artistically. In America, media-wise, the Eurocentric point of view is all pervasive. I'm going with Tim Weiss on this, but I beat him to it because I'm older than he is. We need only to look at the little screen for a few consecutive evenings to see how true this is. There are no serious African-American dramas being exposed. None. Incidentally, this was written in 1998. There are no serious African-American dramas being exposed. None. It's all Negro-centric, ha-ha. There are African-American characters on white dramatic shows, The Practice, NYPD Blues, and many more if you include Cops and LAPD. The reason for this sick state of affairs can be clearly traced back to Euro-America's constant need to be reassured that Africans in America are here to work, spend lots of money, play sports, entertain, and be funny. Ha, ha, ha. The traditionally negative propagandists are alive and prospering. Aside from comicizing the African-American presence on television, the Native American has been fossilized and the Asian was reduced to a small collection of television news ladies. This was during the time of Connie Chung. The Asian men took a hard look at what the Eurocentrics were about, picked up their rice bowls and headed straight for channels 18 and 56. POV, point of view, is something that many of us seldom pay any conscious attention to, yet it can be a determining factor in our relationship with each other. My friend, the psychologist, Dr. Ralph Vernon, suggests that the Negro-centric sitcom, for example, share the responsibility for creating the mindsets of many African-American teenagers. Study the picture carefully. For the first time in our history, there are no elders on the scene, no responsible adults to channel these immense reservoirs of energy. The television is saying you have only your peers to be concerned with, to be guided by. And if an elder does appear, I'm not talking about Bill Cosby, if an elder does appear, they're trying to snag a laugh, just like the rest of the homies. Sanford and Son, anyone? The Eurocentric theorists, no matter whether it's a conscious or unconscious position, who control the TV junk that our children are fed, are only concerned about ratings and revenue. The excessive displays of materialism that load up each scene in the sitcoms only serve to whet the basest appetites of our young people. The hair, the hair, the hair, the hair, the hair, the nails, the nails, the nails, the skin, the skin, the skin. The attractive young people in the sitcoms show them what they should be wearing, how they should behave, what dance they should be doing, performing, where they should be going. There are no questions asked, only answers given. There are thousands of young African Americans who have never asked one of their elders a question. Never. Why? Possibly because they feel they received all the answers from their favorite sitcoms. They become self-defeating, ultimately. The young leading the young. Where? POV switching from the little screen to the big screen via the little screen. Nightline, December 17th, 1997. A triple-party interview with Debbie Allen, co-producer of a Steven Spielberg film, Amistad, David Zwick, director of the Civil War movie, Glory, and Spike Lee, director of She's Gotta Have It, and most recently, the Malcolm X story. The focus was on the recently released Amistad, and the questions that were posed have been circulated over and over. Can a white person do a black film? The answer is obviously yes, because they do it all the time. Should a white person do a black film, especially one that is of immense historical value to blacks? I would have to give a qualified yes. If the white person had Nelson Mandela's integrity and the late Kenneth Hahn's sense of justice. Otherwise, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Amazingly, there have been few white films written or directed by African Americans. To do white films, given the perspective we've acquired over the past 200 years, seem like we'd be the perfect people to direct white films. Mm-hmm. We know all about y'all. Mm-hmm. We were trained by the Eurocentrics to be Eurocentric. That training offers us a unique point of view. So far as I know, there are no white people who were trained to be black en masse, not even in Brazil. Back to Nightline. Spike Lee was on the one with his complaint that the director/producer usually changes the material to suit the comfort zone of his POV. Thus, Mississippi Burning loses sight of Charles Evans' story and becomes the FBI's story. The Biko story becomes the Donald Wood story. The Fighting African Americans in Glory becomes the white officer's story. And my favorite, Dancing with Wolves, gives Kevin Costner an opportunity to play Tarzan on the plains. Boy even learned how to speak a little Sioux or something, I think. At the end of the day, it all seems an exercise in futility. It shouldn't surprise anybody that a white guy would want to create a comfort zone for himself and his kind. Does the hyena tell his cubs that the lion is a hero? Does the hyena tell his cubs that the lion is a hero? Yeah. In a filmed clip, the director of Amistad made a point of informing the audience that he has adopted 3 African American children. Mm. Somehow that information was supposed to convey the impression that he had become more Afrocentric or something. The bottom line for habitual bitches: no studio would greenlight a movie about the Jewish Holocaust directed and or written by an African American is unusually simple. The bottom line for habitual bitches is unusually simple. Put your money where your grits are. Remember the golden rule. He who has the gold rules. I didn't mean to become a little bit histrionic there, but sometimes
that works, definitely.
But going back to Robert Wise, I'm sure there are many white people who hate him, and they must be hiding out most of the time because he's the only, he's the only white writer, a popular personality I could think. I believe he's a teacher, and also a writer. He's the only one I can think of who just simply always is on the money when it comes to racial things in America. When he talks about the influence that the media has on the African American psyche. I mean, we must be super people to have survived 400 years of conditioning and still wind up being Afrocentric.
Civil.
Human
beings.
I think about, you have had cases, and they've proven it psychologically. They've had people placed in situations where, let's say you take an Asian kid and bring him up. So this has happened with the Koreans, at least 2 I know. And they are raised thinking that they are Anglo-Saxon or of British descent or whatever. Okay, and it all happens within the course of a few years. After centuries, we still have people who look at, adore, admire, appreciate, long for, have a clear understanding of their African connection. And some of them are so light and bright they could be damn near white.
Yes,
but I'm not going to get into that. So it seems that we must be incredibly resilient when it comes to having a racial identity. Just because somebody says, well, okay, look at her, she's been to school, so she talks like a white girl, a white boy.
Right.
I don't care what she talks like, but I look at what she does or what he does. And inevitably some of those white talking people are very, very Afrocentric.
Very true.
Anyway, that was my point of view for this Monday evening.
Okay, and your website is www.odiehawkins.com. I would like to mention that Linda is the one who did type the African time.
Oh, Linda,
yes, indeed.
What a pleasant afternoon we spent with her yesterday.
Yes,
she and
the group.
twins. And,
yes, it was good.
Yeah, the couple.
Okay.
The mother and son. That was really nice.
Yes.
Well, we'll keep on doing it until we can't do it no more.
This is it. www.odiehawkins.com is your website. And with that,
Appreciate you.
got it to you too. Bye.